I'm going to show you why you'd rather spend $2,000 to $3,000 more than a foreclosure to get the property now instead of spending 12 months locked up in foreclosure. Next on the Paperstac Podcast. Hey, welcome back to the Paperstac Podcast. I'm Rick Allen. This is Brett Burky coming to you fresh off of a Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, lots of sun.
Lots of sun, lots of cooking.
Lots of cooking.
You've
steak
got
tips.
The steak tips. Did you do chicken wings or no?
No, I was gonna, but we just did steak tips and salmon and yeah.
You're loving the grill, huh?
I love it. It's super simple. I just set it up and let it go, and I have it on my phone, control it in the app. I even set timers with Siri, so I have multiple timers going for different things. I even one-upped it this weekend where I was like, I'm gonna get a Ring camera to have at my back porch so I can shoot the camera at it. Mm-hmm. So I can be down at the pool just kind of like hanging out and looking at my stuff cook. I realized though, I got to the pool, I was like, man, this thing has not gone up in any heat. I was like, something must be going on. I was like, oh, wait a second, this thing works on Wi-Fi, but it's not like, if I'm at the pool, I can't connect to it.
No, but if you had the Ring camera, you could watch it.
Yeah, I could watch it. So
you could watch the little output.
Yep. That was my weekend. So, I'm actually really interested in this subject matter because I don't know anything about it. I never had to do it. I've always just heard of it as a cool strategy. Actually, I went on a Cash for Keys ride with you one time. Do you remember that?
No.
Oh, it was when we first started. You and TJ had to go to Kissimmee, and I had to keep the guy busy talking his ear off. But I found out he was a musician, so...
Oh, the guy with the guitars.
Yeah. So I talked his ear off while you guys basically took his house. So,
I mean, that's you didn't really set that story up for me to sound very nice.
No. The guy was very thankful. He was, you guys gave him a lot of money to leave. He was in a tough situation.
Yeah. So, I mean, you kind of talk about this and you look at it, and if you're buying and selling mortgage notes, even if you're in the performing space, there's a good chance that you're going to wind up in the non-performing space. And we happen to enter into the mortgage debt space in the non-performing side. Mm-hmm. So, when we started, it was 2012. I was on the call today. The guy said, in 2012, they thought that there'd never be a sunny day out there. Now today, they don't think there's ever going to be a cloudy day. But it was, we entered in the non-performing side, and literally the very first deal we did was a Cash for Keys deed in lieu.
Oh, yeah, it was, wasn't it?
The very first deal we did. As a matter of fact, probably the next 25 deals were all Cash for Keys.
That's such an interesting play, because explain what Cash for Keys is for those people.
So, Cash for Keys is exactly what it is. I'm going to give you cash in exchange for the keys. Not just the keys, but the deed.
The deed.
The deed to the house. We're going to wipe your debt clean. You're going to give me possession. Why? Right? You're going to because, especially in 2012, like the foreclosure timelines in Florida were 24 months, 3 years. Even today, you can run into just disaster places like Cook County in Illinois, Chicago. Oh, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. So somebody was like, well, why would you give people money up front just to get the house? Why not just go through foreclosure? Well, the reason is because it's time. It's velocity. You look at that time in 2012, the cost of a foreclosure was $7,000 to $10,000 maybe. I'd write people $7,000 to $10,000 checks right away.
Yeah.
I think the biggest check we wrote was $30,000. I wrote somebody $30,000 cash for keys. We bought we bought the note for $150 or $120, and it was worth $280. Oh, so wow. I was just like, look, they didn't want to leave either. They're like, we want to keep our house. I'm like, at that time, we had never modified anybody's loan or worked with them. It was just like, no.
I couldn't.
Sorry,
do it.
you gotta. It's like look. The best I can do is I can send you packing with a check for $30,000, and they're like, at that point they're like, I guess if I can't keep the house, I'll take the $30,000.
How long were they not paying for you?
I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, but we got we literally, our game plan was, we would look at all the portfolios, find ones that were occupied owner-occupied where they weren't paying, and the house was a decent house. And the minute we bought it, we would go over there, knock on the door, and say, let's go.
I couldn't do that. Walk to the front door, knock on the house. Hey, you got to leave. I own your house now.
Yeah.
Oof.
But it was, so you look at it, you say, why would you do it? There's a lot of reasons why, but most of the reason is velocity. It's like it's faster. You know, some of the other reasons are to buy your way out of a problem.
Mm-hmm. Is cash for keys harder when you're not local?
No, as long as you have an agent that's willing to go in there. But really, all you got to do is get them opening up the lines of communication.
When can you do that?
It goes by. It's certainly, I guess, easier if you're able to go knock on the door and hand them papers. But that's not scalable. When you first start out, it was perfect for us when we started out because it was TJ and I, and that's what we were doing, and it was like everything was within a 45-minute drive, and we were dealing with 30 assets in Orlando versus having 500 assets spread across the country. Yeah, it's a lot more difficult for them to tell you no when you're standing there at their front door looking at them.
That's true.
It is, but it doesn't scale. So yes, it's easier, but if you have the right boots on the ground and you're getting your assets that are kind of located, geographically close to each other, you can build a team, you build the boots on the ground, it makes it easier. It's not the first time. You're not having to get a new agent every time you do something, right?
Yeah.
You can build a system, a rinse and repeat system. So, that's it, but there's a basic structure it follows, right?
Okay, which is?
So initial contact you make with them, hey, I own the loan.
Yeah.
We need to, and this is if you're just targeting the cash for keys. We're going to take the house. I'd rather not go through the foreclosure process. I would always say, look, I'm going to spend this money anyways.
Yeah.
I'm either going to give it to an attorney.
Yeah.
And they're going to go through the foreclosure process, or I can give it to you, and we can rip this chapter out of your life, throw it out of there. You start fresh. You got some money. You go about your business. So it's just all about making contact with them and getting them on board. And you kind of understand, like, hey, are they willing to play ball or not? Like, we're doing a cash for keys literally right now. Somebody's behind on their payments. They're not even that bad, but they're just like, we just don't want to keep the house anymore. It's like, okay, fine, we'll sign it over. And so they're signing it over, and you just draft up an agreement. You have a settlement agreement, and you want to structure it to where you'd like to ideally not give them any money until they sign and they leave the place broom swept.
Yeah.
It's nice to be able to give them, hey, look, you leave it broom swept, and I'm going to give you this amount of money. Doesn't happen like that, especially if you're dealing with a large chunk of money. It's sometimes you got to break it up into a couple payments, like a 70-30. So you're like, look, I'm going to give you 20 to 30% now. If it's 10 grand, you're going to sign this paper. I'm going to give you 30 days to get out. So ideally, you just give them, 20 to 30% now, because they're going to want a little seed money. They want to know you're for real.
Yeah.
Sign the paperwork. I'm going to give you 30 days. You can get in there. You get the remainder of the money, the big piece of the money, when you leave the house broom swept and you're out by this day.
And then do you immediately change the keys?
Oh, yeah. Once you go over there and your agent goes over there, like, you say, hey, or you kind of communicate to make sure they're ready. Mm-hmm. So like, look, I'm going to be coming over there. You got to have all this garbage out of the house, and it can't just be sitting on the front lawn. Mm-hmm. Like, because I've had people do that. It's like, they'll take it down to the curb. I'll be like, curb is not ideal, but acceptable.
Yeah.
It's just sitting on the front lawn, not good. So once you get them over there, you have the people to change the locks right away. And we would do cameras. So that way you're like, you were there when we, wasn't on a cash for keys, but
the one out in
Leesburg. We would go put up their hunting cameras or like wild game cameras. They run off a cell service. So you don't necessarily have to have power and internet and everything hooked up to the house. Mm-hmm. You just buy one of these for $130. You buy like 5 of them. Mm-hmm. You can cover the whole house. Gives you instant updates to your cell phone.
Yeah.
When something's there, you can have it take pictures. You can have it take video.
Didn't you actually have to talk to somebody from the...
No, I've never done that.
I thought some guy came to the one in Leesburg. he was like an inspector or something like that.
I caught an inspector wandering around the property there.
You did?
Yeah, but he left and never came back. So yeah, you want to structure it to where you're going to have cash for keys agreement, a settlement agreement, and the deed.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question, because I know that when it goes non-performing, I know there's a lot of stuff that you can't reach out to the borrower directly. That should be done through the servicer. When does this happen? The cash for keys.
You're supposed to wait 45 days from the time. That's a cooling off period.
Yeah.
So from the time you buy it before you can start reaching out.
So for example, I have that one in Pennsylvania right now, and I just got a letter from the servicer on Friday. Like, you got all these past invoices. I'm like, hold on, you didn't even send me these invoices. Don't say they're past. You know, like they say you haven't paid for your servicing for these last couple months. I'm like, you didn't. What are you talking about? You know, like, I didn't know. Like, you know, I guess they're not paying. I guess that's true. I guess I have to pay for it now, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But like, don't say that they're past due because you haven't sent them. I just got them. So now I'm like, well, shoot, man, I gotta start pumping up the
loss mitigation. Now you gotta start reaching out to them and figuring what's going on. So you got to figure out, one, can they afford to pay? Do they want to stay? Or is it like they just want to get out?
So the person that is on the deed is not living in the house, and I think they rent it out. And the person that went there to do the door knock, that person told him to get off the property, but apparently like he knows his son or something like that. But I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. They owe like $8,000, but the house is worth $160,000. It's like, sure, let's do cash for keys. You know,
they're not going to do that. That's the thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Is like, it's kind of different now. You know, you got to understand, when we were buying in 2012, 13, 14, 15, people were so far behind.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, you're talking 90 days behind. Right? 90 days, maybe 120 days. That's you can recover from that, especially like in your situation, there's motivation, right? So they owe $8,000 and the house is worth $160,000. When I was doing it, or when we were doing it heavily then, like they owed, with all the past due interest and everything, like they'd owe like $375,000, $400,000, and the house was worth $280,000. But I was buying the note for like $120,000 to $150,000. So I was buying it at a pretty steep discount.
Yeah.
And it's just the metrics all worked out there. So, you know, another reason you might do the cash for keys is we were going through a foreclosure. I forget I remember the address was Cherry Blossom, and the loan was serviced with FCI. And it was actually, there was the opposing counsel was this, I forgot the guy's name, but he was like famous in Florida for being just a pain in the ass to try to like win. But he actually ended up, I think he ended up going to jail for running some sort of scheme on foreclosures, like getting people to sign the house over to him. Anyways, he was a pain in the ass defense attorney. And he ended up, we were not just at the start of foreclosure, we were in foreclosure, and we had already spent probably $6,000 or $7,000 on foreclosure, and we were getting ready for trial, and he subpoenaed the owner, Michael Griffith, of FCI, to come out there and testify about the payment history. And Michael Griffith is like, look, it's $3,000 for me just to get on the plane.
Yeah.
Then you got to buy my plane tickets. You got to house me. You got to do this. You got to do that. And there wasn't even a guarantee that we're going to win.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh my gosh. So we ended up, I was like, we were already into this thing for, like I said, $6,000 or $7,000. I was like, I knew I would pay $10,000 to get out. I was like, I'll just pay $10,000 just to be done. Because I'm like, there's $5,000 just for this guy to show up, plus another $5,000, and that's if we win. And we offered him $7,000, and we wound up settling on $10,000, and ends up getting out of the deal. Got the cash for keys, got the house back. But it was nice because it was like over like that. That's the nice thing about the cash for keys is like you get resolution right away. You don't have to wait.
Yeah, because there's no. It's just you and them.
Right.
That's interesting. I've always wanted to learn more about cash for keys because there's a lot to it.
There's a lot to it, but also it all comes down to like, how badly do you want the property? How badly does the borrower want to keep the property, or are they kind of like, whatever? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you go to foreclose on a property, or to go to a cash for keys, and the yard is mowed and there's fresh flowers at the front, there's a lot of pride of ownership still there. There's emotional equity. You're going to have a hard time. And most of the time, it's a hard time to get them to sign the house over. So you read the tea leaves on that, where you're like, we might want to modify this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And that's difficult. Is like when you're like, no, there's a lot of money. There's equity sitting there. You got to be like, I need you to take that house back. It's hard when they don't want to do it.
So when you were saying before you were evaluating tapes for possible cash for keys, are you basing your bids off UPB or value at that point?
Well, in 2012 or 2013, it was based off of what's the actual underlying value
Of the house?
Yeah. Well, everything is tied to the actual value.
Yeah.
Right?
But a lot of times you bid off UPB or value.
You're always bidding off the UPB, but you're bidding off the value. If that makes sense. It's like, here's the discount. The discount I'm getting is based off of the balance. But when I'm looking at it and running my numbers, I'm running my numbers based off of, like, if it's non-performing, like, what's the underlying collateral worth?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So I'm looking at this number, but I'm bidding it off that number. There's a relationship there between the numbers that just, I might be bidding today on this loan, I'm bidding, 63 cents of the balance just because of the way the numbers work out. And then on this other loan, I'm bidding 80% of the balance just because the numbers work out a different way based on what the underlying collateral is worth and how it relates to the actual loan.
And now with the underlying collateral, are you always doing that even if you're doing performing? And let's just say...
No, it's different. Like performing, you're always, no matter what, you want to know what your underlying collateral is worth. Like no matter what, I'm not gonna pay 120% of the value of the property or the underlying collateral. So you always know what the value of that's worth.
Yeah.
But bidding NPL, you're bidding. Everyone's got their own special formula that they're using to calculate how much money they want to make. Whether it's going to be velocity of capital on this one, and this one we're going to go the distance or whatever. For performing loans, it's right now usually the numbers all match up. You're not running into a situation right now where things are severely upside down. You are running into a little bit because values have slid.
Have they really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Right now, like if you're bidding on you put a portfolio out for bid, you can just understand that there's going to be a fade coming whenever they run BPOs.
Oh really?
Yeah, and that's actually, people are not being as aggressive on their bids right now when they're bidding big portfolios because of that. Because it's like, I'm not going to aggressively bid 80, we'll say 95 to 100% of the balance. I'm going to be more conservative because if you accept my bid that's aggressive, then say there's 100 loans in there, I'm going to have to go order 100 BPOs. And I know that my BPO value is going to come in lower, so I'm going to have to fade my bid, and there's a chance you're going to tell me to go pound sand. Now I'm out 100 BPOs.
Oh, yeah.
I'm out 15 to 20 grand.
Yeah.
So what is that doing? Because the numbers of the values have slid a little bit. People are not bidding as aggressively because they don't want to eat there's no point. Like, look, I'll give you realistic bid, but it's not going to be aggressive, so you take my bid so I can spend a bunch of money on due diligence to have you tell me no. If you take my bid at these numbers, I feel pretty good that they're going to come in there and that the value is there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So that's a little bit kind of off topic, but...
Yeah. It still was talking around the same idea of what the bids and based off. That's cool. I guess, is there anything else to really add? I mean, that's kind of...
That's a lot, but...
That sums it up. I mean,
just mistakes.
Cash for keys. So what are some mistakes that people maybe might not want to do?
Paying too early. Giving the people the money up front without, like, having, one, the expectations done, two, the documentation done so they can read over it.
Oh.
Setting up, you got to have that proper documentation. You don't want to come across as predatory. So you want to say, look, this is what we're going to do, establishing the plan, but don't give them money until there's an established plan and documentation. I'm always a fan of third party. I will use an attorney, preferably. I'm like, look, we can do this one of two ways. I can have an agent give you the money. I don't even like doing that sometimes. Or I'll just give this money to the attorney's office. You can go sign, they can hand you a check, or they can wire you funds.
Okay.
But I'm gonna have somebody at the house to verify that it is clean. So you don't wanna give them, you're gonna have to give them some money most of the time, a little bit, especially if they're like, they're destitute or they don't have, it's like they don't have, somewhere else to go. So you're gonna be like, okay, I gotta give them some money to get them moving.
Yeah.
I gotta give them some, go find a place to live money.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, but so that's one of them is don't give them money too early, bad documentation. Make sure that you have a settlement agreement, cash for keys agreement, the deed in lieu. Make sure everything's done. Make sure title is done. Make sure you do it properly. I've also, when I put together packages, I've given them an acknowledgement of judgment or them basically saying, yes, this is all true. I can't think of the name of it right now. In the event that something comes back screwed up on title.
Oh, wow.
Because if something pops up on title and they've signed the house over to you, and then you're like, the attorney's like, the only way you can get clean title is if you go foreclose. Now you got to go foreclose. So like you get them to sign like a waiver of defenses, acknowledgement of judgment, and you say in exchange, like, we won't come after you for deficiency or anything like that. So I don't think we'll have to use it. But in the event that we do have to use it, I'm going to. And the reason is you just don't want to like pay for your get out of jail free card to turn the corner and wind up back in jail. You know what I mean? It doesn't work. So you kind of have to cover your bases there. So having title done and looked at.
What gets recorded with the county? Is that the cash for keys documents get recorded?
No, the deed.
The deed gets recorded in your name.
Yeah.
Or is there a transfer?
That's the deed.
The deed, yeah.
And you already own the loan, so then once it's confirmed that you have clear title and the deed's in your name and everything like that, you write a satisfaction of mortgage, have that recorded. The mortgage goes away.
And does that go on the record?
No, I mean, yes and no. It depends. Like depends. It's up to the servicer. It's up to the the loan owner, the lien holder. Sometimes, yes, you can do it. They'll always get hit with a 1099-C.
For the money they got?
No, for the difference.
Oh.
Yeah, so it can show you can pay taxes on that as income.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, but let's just say someone had the cash for keys process as a borrower. They want to go get a new mortgage. When that person's doing the underwriting, are they finding, hey, what's this?
No, they're not going to see it. Most of the time they won't see it at cash for keys. Usually people are not reporting that. What they will see is like 12 months of not making a mortgage payment. That's going to be the one that stops them from getting it. The solution is usually not, it doesn't show up.
No. It doesn't affect their credit score?
Again, the 12 months of not making your mortgage payment is what screws up the credit score.
Yeah.
And again, it depends on how the servicers report it or whatever, but...
That's interesting. Okay, cool. I think I got all my questions answered. Lastly, is this when you would use the Amazon package?
The Amazon package, we use that when we're trying to make contact and get people on the phone.
Explain that one. That one's pretty cool, actually.
Sometimes you give people, you send them mail, they just throw it in the garbage can. FedEx, they'll look at it. Everybody opens an Amazon box. So you can just send them a letter, put it in the Amazon box, and talk to them.
And that works, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, man. That could be a whole service on Amazon for note investors.
Oh, I've thought about it.
We tried to do
An
it.
FBA.
We couldn't put it together unless it came from a location. It couldn't be at Amazon. It had to be from if you did it out of here or something like that, because each letter has to be unique.
Yeah, drop shipped.
Drop shipped. Yeah. Okay. Cool, man. Well, that was good. That was a good episode. I learned a lot. I might have to take some of it to action.
Yeah, you will. If you need help, just let me know. What do we have coming up?
Don't know. We have the one with the funds with TJ. We'll need TJ. TJ's our other partner, and he'll be coming on with Rick, and I will be sitting this next one out, while they talk about investing with the fund versus investing in the single notes and nuances and differences, and we should do one over the other.
We're not talking about starting a fund or anything like that, because that's a
long one.
Yeah.
No, we're not talking about that. But yeah, it'll be one. And the cool thing about it is I got a couple other fund owners to chime in. So it's going to be just a little segment at the end where they just chime in about what their funds they run and things like that. So people, friends in the industry. So that's it for this episode. Appreciate you watching. See you on the next one.